y'all, it's Heather, and I'm so excited because my order for the new Natasha Denona Bloom palette is here. This is Natasha Denona's newest palette. She says it is inspired by blooming flowers, sunny days, and I totally see that in these warm tones. I want to share with you kind of my first impression thoughts. I want to share some swatches with you, and then I want to do eye swatches, every single shade on my eyes for you. I also want to show you comparisons so that you can see if this Bloom palette is something you want to add to your collection. We will get into the tutorial, and then I want to share some thoughts with you after using every single shade on the eyes, creating a look with it, having swatched it, everything. I will link this palette down below for you. I did purchase mine at Sephora. It is also available on the Natasha Denona site. These are 15 brand new shades. We have peaches, corals, burgundies, mauve shades. According to Natasha Denona, we have 6 buttery creamy mattes, 2 blendable silky mattes, 2 high shine metallics, and 5 sparkling foiled shades. This color story called to me right away. I really like that dark terracotta orangey shade in the center of the palette. I thought this had some interesting looking duochromes, and I love warm shades. This is pinky warm, kind of orangey pink leaning. I think it looks really, really pretty, and overall I'm just such a huge fan of Natasha Denona shadows. I knew I had to have this. I love reviewing Natasha Denona palettes. If you were ever shopping Natasha Denona's site, you can use code Heather. That is a discount affiliated code that I have. I will put that in the description box, and I'll pop it up on the screen here for you too. I love talking about makeup. I love talking about Natasha Denona. Definitely one of my favorite brands for sure. So I'm super excited about this, but I really want to share with you my eye swatches. So let's jump into it. I'm so excited to be getting into these eye swatches. I'm going to be live swatching on my hand, just my bare skin, and I'm gonna have an eyeshadow primer down because I always use an eyeshadow primer when I do eye looks, and that's how we're gonna do our eye swatches. Live on the hand, on top of eyeshadow primer on the eyes. We're gonna do all 15 shades. I'm gonna grab my primer and I'm gonna zoom you in. I have to swatch the shade Equinox first. I know it's at the bottom of the palette, but it is calling to me. Ever since I opened this palette, I'm like, I want to swatch you. So that is what we are gonna start with. This is a duochrome. I'm gonna swatch it first on my hand right here, and this is supposed to be a sparkling duochrome that goes peach to turquoise. And I can see that. You're definitely gonna be able to see that on my eyes. It has that pretty sparkle effect. It looks like, oh, it definitely has that peach, and then you kind of flip it and it has that blue turquoiseness to it. This is really, really pretty. I have my Sigma eyeshadow primer down, and I'm just gonna pop this onto my lid with my finger. You can see my eyeshadow primer is lighter than my face, so here it is on my skin tone, and then here it is on top of that primer. Here's how it looks just pressed on with my finger. I am gonna grab a brush. I'm just gonna put this on with my brush so I can really kind of smooth and get in all my little wrinkles and crinkles. That is really pretty. I like that. It has this really glossy finish to it. I'm going to turn the lights off in a minute. I'm going to show you things in different lighting just so that you can really see everything about the shadow. I want to swatch this shade now. I know we're kind of jumping around the palette, but this matte, like, that makes me so happy. This like autumn orange color, I don't know, it's so pretty. This is called Brick. This is described as a medium bright terracotta shade. That looks really good. Okay, that is a pretty color. That is gonna complement the kind of pinky hues in this palette so well. I'm gonna put the matte color Brick right on my lid here. That's a pretty shade. Now matte's definitely gonna apply better with the brush. So I'm just gonna use the other end of my brush. This is a brush from my Sigma Cinderella palette, the brush that's included. I will do my best to list and link everything I talk about down in the description box. I'm not worried about a perfect blend right now. I just want to get the color on my eyes so that you can see. I definitely have some texture to my lid. I am 37 years old. I'm oily skin. I live in a humid place. I have some texture to my lids, but Natasha Denona formulas work really well for me, and I think so far, so good. These two shades performing beautifully. Here is that shadow with the lights off. So no lights in front of me except one small little like ring light that I have so that you can see. All right, I have wiped away the eye swatches. We are gonna go in with a live swatch. We're gonna do these two shades on the eyes next. So let's start with Fluorescence and then we will do Bark. This is described as a metallic, vivid tangerine, and I see that. That's really pretty. It has an orange pinky shift to it. Really, really pretty metallic shade, and I will put the matte shade Bark right next to it. This is described as a medium dark gingerbread shade. I'm just gonna smooth that out a bit. That looks really good. It looks like it's gonna be more light mid-tone if I kind of sheer it out, or I can get it to be a little deeper if I kind of put it on heavy like that. Whoops, I put the duochrome on top of it, or the metallic shade on top, so you can kind of see a little bit right there. Unintentional. Let me zoom you in. I'm just gonna put that shimmer on my lid right there, or the metallic, sorry, it's a metallic shade. I'm gonna use this BK Beauty brush to finish with this metallic shade, just kind of blending it. I have deep set eyes, so I don't love applying my shadow with my fingers. I feel like I can't get where I need to get, and also I don't know, I love a good brush, so I'm just gonna kind of work that shadow around. That's pretty, very soft. Now I'm gonna apply the shade Bark right there. I have a little bit of sparkle on my finger, so just ignore if you see that, because this is definitely a matte shade. I'm gonna use my Singe brush to build this up and kind of blend a little bit. Here is the way that matte is looking. I think that's really, really pretty, along with this metallic. Oh, I love Natasha Denona's formulas. Here's what that metallic shade looks like in the very dim lighting, you know? Like I say, maybe you're in a cave exploring and the flashlight hits your face, and this is what your shadow looks like, because obviously you put on your Natasha Denona palette before you went cave exploring, you know? Next, we're gonna swatch these two shades in the first column. We have the shade Crisp and Petal. Crisp is described as a sparkling foiled duochrome. That looks really pretty. Natasha says it has a coral gold flip. Petal is a silky matte light salmon, and that's really pretty. I like this type of color for blending out shades. I'll put the shade Crisp right here on this eye. Oh, that is a pretty color. That's gonna be beautiful on the lid or the inner corner. I'm putting the shade Petal right here. Oh, that's so pretty. I'm just going to use a brush from my Sigma Alice in Wonderland palette to kind of work both of these shades in. These are both really light shades going on top of a really light base. They both look really, really pretty. There is that shimmer, that foiled duochrome, super pretty. Now we're gonna do the shade Keen right here, and then Lush. Keen is described as a light medium nude tangerine. That's such a descriptive term. This is, yeah, definitely like a lighter kind of mid-tone shade, so I've got that right here. Lush is described as a sparkling nude foiled apricot. That is very descriptive. I'm putting Lush right here. That's a cute shade, definitely kind of a light peachy orange type of color. And I'm gonna finish up that eye swatch with my Singe E01. That's a pretty color. Here's the shade Keen. There is Keen. Just blended it on with my Alice in Wonderland brush. This is really cute. These two shades together are really cute. Super easy look, like put down this matte and then throw a little of this on the lid on the inner corner. You're good to go. That would be so pretty. And there we have that beautiful shade in the dim, low, almost non-existent lighting. Next, we're gonna swatch the shade Ember and Robin. Ember is described as a sparkling foiled medium brick, and that looks really pretty to me. Robin is a silky matte medium dusty coral shade, and I would definitely agree. My lids are starting to get unhappy with me, so if you notice a little bit of texture, it can't be helped. There is Ember. That's a pretty color. I like that. I really like that. I love colors like this, these warm shades. It's really pretty. I just blended that in with a brush from my Sigma favorite set, making sure I really get that shadow on. I'll put the shade Robin right here. Here it is with my What's Up Beauty brush. That is a really nice shade. Like, that is pretty. That's definitely got some color, some punch, corally peach color. I'm into it. Here is the shade Ember in the low lighting. Next, we'll do the shade Rue and Clover. Rue is a metallic shade that is a medium light burgundy. I think that's a really pretty color. I think this with the Ember metallic shadow, sparkle shadow, whatever, is so cute. Like, these two shades together, I think that'll be beautiful. Clover says it is a matte, dark, vivid burgundy. I like that. I like that. I love these deeper colors. I'm gonna put Rue right here on the center of my lid. That's yummy. I'm just working that in with my Singe brush, but that is a really cute color. Okay, I like that. I think that's gonna complement the other shades we've been swatching really beautifully. Here is the shade Clover. I'm gonna use my BK Beauty brush to kind of apply this shadow so you can see how beautiful that is. And with these really light mattes that we've been using, I think are gonna be perfect to kind of buff out these deeper shades or for inner corner highlights to add a little bit of contrast. I'm into it. There is the shade Rue. It's starting to look a little rough with my application, but that is okay. Let's do the last non-matte shade we have. That's this color right here called Fleur. I'm gonna kind of swipe that there. Oh, that's beautiful. That is beautiful. This is described as a duochrome light pink with an icy ivory shift. Okay, that's beautiful. I'll put Fleur right there. Ooh. I'm not even gonna bother with the brush. I think you can see that shade without it just fine. We have two matte shades left, these two, so we will swatch these both on the same eye. I will just make it work. Ren is a matte medium coral pink. I'm gonna swatch that kind of on the inside of my hand right there. Pretty. Floss is a medium matte vintage rose, and that is really pretty. I'll put Ren right on the inner part, kind of hard with my finger, and we will go in, flows right out here. Okay, let me grab a brush. I'm using my BK Beauty brush to get that really pretty matte shade on. Oh yeah, I like that. That's pretty. And then we'll throw that kind of more rose matte right out here. Aren't those two really pretty? I like the way they look beside each other too. I think that's really soft and beautiful. That is all of the shades swatched on the eyes. I hope you enjoyed it. Jumping into these comparisons, I want to show you the palettes side by side so that you can see if this Bloom palette is something you want to add to your collection, if it's something you're going to skip over, if it's too similar, or maybe it's more different than you thought. I just want to be as helpful as possible. So we will start off by talking about the I Need a Warm palette. Now, looking at these side by side, they look very different to me. Like the Bloom palette, you can see these warm pinky tones so much, whereas the I Need a Warm is more peachy brown, right? Super beautiful in both of these. Looking at each shade, I don't really see anything that I would say, oh, maybe these look super similar, maybe they're not different enough. I think they're super different. I also pulled the bronze palette since it has warm bronzy shades. Definitely would be beautiful with the Bloom palette, but again, there's nothing that's just repetitive. These new shimmers in the Bloom palette don't really repeat over here in the bronze. I do think the Bloom palette has some more contrast in terms of light shades than the bronze palette does. I'm pretty sure the Love palette has been discontinued, but I want to quickly show you these palettes together. Now you can see the Love palette has pinks and reds and purple shades. We also have some silver. So they're not the same, but since this Bloom palette does have some warm pink shades, I wanted to show you them next to each other just in case you were curious. The retro palette is a favorite for so many people, so I want to show you these two side by side as well. You can definitely see the contrast when these are side by side. The retro palette is so much more cool in tone. You even have some icy kind of taupe shades over there in retro, so nothing is repeating. If you liked the pinkness of retro, but you wanted it really warm, Bloom could be your answer. Last but not least, I want to compare this to the Mini Biba palette. Now, obviously, Mini Biba is much smaller than Bloom, but you do kind of have those little bit of like pinky shades in here, but I'm not seeing any repetitiveness. Nothing that's exactly the same, nothing like that. I do hope that the comparisons are helpful. I love doing these. I want to be as helpful to you as possible when I'm showing new palettes, new products, but I am very excited to share with you how I got this look today. So let's jump into the tutorial. For our look, I have a little bit of my eyeshadow primer down, but I want to put down a colored base. I want to do something a little fun for this look. So I'm going to start with this color from this Made by Mitchell color case. I'm actually going to mix a couple of shades together. I'm just going to press that on with my Singe brush. I'm going to start off with the shade Brick, that beautiful matte color. I'm gonna press this right into my socket, below my socket, bring it above my socket, just working it back and forth. I'm also gonna put it on the outer corner of my lid and flick it out. That is such a pretty color. I'm just buffing a bit out here. After I do eye swatches, it always gets really messy right out here, from where I've been just like wiping and the foundation and concealer and powder and all, it starts to kind of be an issue, but this is blending beautifully. We started off with the beautiful shade Brick. Now we are gonna go down to the shade Clover. I'm gonna press this on my lid, kind of layering it on top of where we put Brick. I want to bring this shade in. I was thinking I was not going to do this and use an outer corner shade. I was thinking I was just gonna let Brick do it all, but I wanted to use these two together. And I mean, listen, I swatched all the shadows on my eyes, and these shadows are still layering beautifully, flawlessly. Like, that is why I come to Natasha again and again and again when she releases palettes, because that's so nice. I'm gonna take that shade and put it a little bit under the lower lash line too, to give me some depth there, some definition. And if you like these eye swatches, comparisons, tutorial, please do subscribe, stick around. I love reviewing new makeup. I actually just reviewed all shades of the new Natasha Denona blush duos, so I will link that video in the cards for you if you want to check those out, because I'm wearing one today actually. Now I'm gonna go into the shade Keen. I'm gonna use this just to blend and buff along where we stopped with that shade Brick, and I'm gonna bring it out and down and just really use this to transition and blend. Very, very soft blending, not pressing hard, nothing like that. I'm using the mirror in the Natasha palette because I love that Natasha Denona puts mirrors in these midi palettes, and I love that it will stand on its own. Like, I love it. I'm just using this brush from my favorite set and kind of blending back and forth. You know we're using Equinox in this look. After I got the shadow on my brush, I did spray it with a little bit of setting spray just to help me minimize fallout, and I'm gonna press that onto my lid, pressing it off the brush first. I'm gonna put it above my lid to kind of help open my eye up. I'm gonna put it down in here, just kind of blending back and forth, packing and then blending, making sure I get all in my little crinkles. I'm gonna just blend and let this beautiful shade bead up to the matte that we have in the outer corner, but I don't want to cover it. Good grief, that is a pretty shade. I really, really like these colors together. Gonna go back just with the brush, no additional product that we used in the outer corner, and make sure there's a nice seamless blend. I'm gonna put a little bit of eyeliner from Natasha Denona on in my lower waterline. Now I'm going back with the shade Clover, that outer corner color, and I'm just gonna put a little more of that shadow on, but I'm gonna concentrate it really close to the lower lash line with this brush. And if I didn't irritate my eyes enough by doing eye swatches, I poked myself in the eye earlier, and I should not have done that. I should have been paying more attention when I was doing my eyeliner. You know, I had some shadow down there, but I just need a little more, because why not? I mean, more is more in my opinion. Let's go in with the shade Crisp, because this looks stunning. I'm gonna pop that right there on the inner corner to give me a little bit of brightness. Very small area that I'm putting it in, just here, and then making sure that it's a little blended so I can have that kind of pop, but a subtle pop, not a pop, but like a pop, you know? You get me, you get me. I'm so into this. I really am, I really am. And this is where we will leave our eye look. And here is my finished look. I absolutely love the way this look came out. I was super curious about this palette. Of course, I'm curious anytime Natasha Denona releases something, because I love the brand so much. I fell in love with the shadow years ago, and I think Natasha Denona has just done such a great job with eyeshadow palettes over the years. So I'm always interested, but when I saw this palette, there are a few shades in the first photos that I saw that looked pretty similar. So I knew I was gonna buy it. I was excited. I'm like, okay, pinky, peachy, corally, orangey shades, like give it to me, I'm sold. But I wanted to see like how different they were. And now that I have had these shades, I've put them all on my eyes, I've been able to swatch them out, I've created a look, I feel like I have options in this palette, and I feel like each shade has a place. I really like that we have 3 matte shades that are more on the deep side of mattes. I personally really like that. We do have a few mid-tone and a few light shades in the mattes, but I'm just so happy to see like several options in terms of deep mattes. I also really like that in the shimmers we have some really light bright shades, we have some really sparkly shades, we have some more smooth shades. There's variety, and Natasha Denona has always been really good at giving variety. I'm also just super impressed but not surprised at how beautifully these shadows applied even after doing eye swatches, because let me tell you, it's not the best on my lids, okay? Like, I will baby them after today, but these shades still blended well, they weren't patchy, they layered well, like they did what they're supposed to do, and that's why I will go back to Natasha again and again and again, and she will get my money. As long as she is putting out quality eyeshadows like this, I can't help myself. I absolutely love the brand. Let me know, is this color story for you? Is this palette for you? Are you planning to pick it up? Are you gonna shop your stash? I would love to hear from you, and I would love it if you would hang around and talk makeup with me, because I have so many videos on new makeup, old makeup, how I organize my makeup, how I apply my makeup, everything. So stick around and talk makeup with me down in the comments.